So I just watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, and let me tell you, it was a fun, wonderful adventure, a great time to have in theaters. And today I'm going to be doing my full non-spoiler review. So before we get started into today's video, make sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bells. That way you, talking to you, I can see you, touching you right now, can be notified for future content on our channel. My name is Isaac, and I'm your host for tonight's Multiverse of Movies Review, a channel where we talk about movies, movie news, and everything in the wonderful world of movies. So if you're a Ghostbusters fan, Marvel fan, DC fan, Star Wars fan, whatever fandom you belong to, this is a channel for you, because today we are going to be reviewing Ghostbusters Afterlife, directed by Ivan Reitman. The son of Wright. Wait, what was their names again? I cannot remember the first names. I just know the Reitman. But anyways, first of all, let me tell you, this film was. I didn't have many expectations. I grew up loving the original Ghostbusters film. I actually did never watch Ghostbusters 2 until I was much older, and I'll admit I don't like the second film that much, but I do believe part of that was because I was much older. Ghostbusters 1984, I do remember growing up with that one, and I love that film, and I really loved it. So when I heard back in 2016 we were going to be getting this reboot and there was an all-female cast, I didn't mind the gender swap, but I'll admit that movie was terrible. The jokes were awful. The story, the pacing, everything was so bad. But Ghostbusters Afterlife really redeems it, and I think the title really fits it, Afterlife, because it's after the events of 2016. And I love how this movie completely just ignored. Well, it obviously means that this movie, the 2016 version, doesn't exist. I'm glad that movie doesn't exist anymore. But overall, I am so glad Afterlife really redeemed it. I think this was the perfect kind of film to do. This film, I will admit there are some flaws with it, very few flaws, but let me tell you the things I love. First of all, I love the character of Phoebe. It's the little girl, her whole life she's been just seen as the nerd, the weird one, the lone kid, and the lonely guy, the lonely kid, and it was pretty it was pretty cool to see her story be connected to Spangler. Spangler, the actor for Spangler, I know he passed away, so seeing him again, that was beautiful. And I think I love how it's connected, and really the story is about this family who they're at their lowest point. They don't have any money to live in their apartment, and now they learn that they're related to a Ghostbuster. And we learned that Spangler, after Ghostbusters, dedicated his entire life to not letting the events of 1984 return. And I love how this film really carries on the legacy. And that's something I felt 2016 was missing. I felt like it was missing that legacy vibe. Because if you're doing a movie that's like reviving the characters, like especially like for example Star Wars, we got to see Luke Skywalker return with Princess Leia, and obviously they didn't do it that well. I did love Force Awakens, but I did not like Last Jedi that much, and I did not like Rise of Skywalker at all. But I do think when you're doing a revival kind of franchise or revival kind of movie, I do think it's nice to kind of pay a little bit of homage to the characters. And I love how this movie really pays a lot of homage to Spangler, because his granddaughter is the main character in Phoebe, and then you also have his grandson. I think his name is Trevor. First of all, let me just say this: when the casting for Trevor and Phoebe, they look very similar, but I think it's because they're brown, curly-ish hair. I like that little detail. But I love how the story picks up about this family they're at their bottom. They don't know what they're doing, so they go to this abandoned house because that house is the only thing they have left, because it's the house of Spangler. And I love how in the movie everyone just sees them as this weird guy, this lonely guy, and he was obviously killed at the very beginning of the film. And I love how this movie picks up that legacy, but also picks up the legacy of Ghostbusters. I love how the little Easter eggs. There's a scene where you see a Twinkie, an old expired Twinkie. I love that. First of all, one thing I love about my theatrical experience is there was a lot of older people in this. Like when I went to my theater, there wasn't a lot of people my age or around my age. It was mainly older people, and this really shows that Ghostbusters has a legacy, because this movie came out way before I ever even existed. It came out in the 80s, early 80s, and it has a lot of legacy. And I love how this film really emphasizes that the Ghostbusters were seen as legends. They were seen as absolute legends, because imagine if there was this giant ghost and this group of brave, not really brave if you've seen Ghostbusters, but this group of scientists, this group of people, they come together and they stop this ghost. You never think that that would happen, and I love how this movie really shows that a lot. And we see the Stay Puft thing. I don't really know any of the actors in this movie. The only actor I can really say its name is Paul Rudd. I think Paul Rudd. I'll admit, when I saw the trailers, when I saw the commercials, I really thought Paul Rudd was going to play a big part in this film. And look, his role is not minor. It's not. In fact, to me, he's one of the best parts of the film. But I love how, what it's confusing to say, but Paul Rudd's not really in the movie that much. He is in it quite a bit, but he's not the main character, and I really like that because I do think this movie is really about the legacy of Ghostbusters. It pays a lot of homage, and one of my biggest worries going into the film was that I really believed this movie was going to be just Stranger Things. I when I saw the first trailer, one of my biggest worries was how the film was just going to go too much into trying to be Stranger Things, because Stranger Things, has really changed the genre of horror, where now people want to have like young teenagers and have their stories of going to spooky towns. I'll admit this, besides having kids, this movie really isn't anything like Stranger Things. First of all, this movie really emphasizes the point that this is a modern film. This is a film taking place in our time period, 2021, and the movie really emphasizes on that. So I'm glad that they didn't just go Stranger Things vibe. It never felt like Stranger Things. But I love, some of the jokes in this movie were great. I like the characters. They're all fun. They're all great. The homages. I like seeing the ghost again. They felt scary. They felt unique, and I love that. There's a lot of things in this film I liked. I like the small town. I love how the town kind of sees Spangler as the weird guy who, he was just never, like, every time the house that they were in was mentioned at all in the story. I love how everyone was like, oh, you mean that abandoned house no one goes to? I've always wondered what that's like, what that house is like. And I like that. And I also like how this movie goes straight into the point of everything. It's not like taking too much time to show you more than you need to. I feel like there's a right amount of time periods for things. Now that I've gotten all the positive out the way, first of all, I want to emphasize everyone was great in this film, but I'm going to get into some negatives. Now, my only few negatives is I do think that if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, someone who didn't like the original film, you're probably not going to like this movie. Now, the reason why I say that is because a lot of the beginning of the movie really requires you to try to be like, it really feels like you need to be a Ghostbusters fan, because there's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of moments where, the movie is pretty slow. And I'll say this, look, as much as I like this film could have easily been 20 minutes shorter. I felt like there were some scenes that dragged on way too long. And there were scenes like that. I'll admit there were scenes like that. And at the very beginning, the characters aren't very interesting. Sure, you see them at their lowest points. It's meant to be character development, but you don't know much about them at the beginning. You're just I do like how the movie quickly shows you, but it doesn't really make you care for them until later on you start getting to know the characters. So I'll admit, the beginning, as much as I liked it, there are flaws within it. I do think it's slow, and if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, you're probably not really going to enjoy it, that beginning. And there's a lot of things in this film. They reference Ghostbusters 1 and 2 a lot more, the first film. So if you're someone who's never seen the films, a lot of, it's not like Marvel films where you can go into Infinity War and while, yes, you won't get most of the things, you will still understand the film and you'll still enjoy the film. But this film really never felt that way. There's so many moments where I'm like, oh, I'm glad I watched the original film, because I probably wouldn't have liked this film at all. I probably wouldn't like the film if it wasn't a Ghostbusters property. I'll admit that. And I guess, I'm a little biased because I do love that original film. I'll admit that one of the negatives of the film is that I don't know if someone who doesn't like Ghostbusters can like it. Now, I went to this movie with someone who's never seen the film, and she said that she liked the film overall still. So I guess there's still hope in that. But to me, when I look at it from an outside perspective, I just don't see how you can enjoy this film without having previously been a Ghostbusters fan. But really, the only big negative I have is that this film could have been 20 minutes shorter. This movie could have been just like 20 to 30 minutes short. I felt like there were just some scenes that dragged on too long, but a lot of the film was great. The action, I forgot to say this, but the action in it was pretty fun. There's a particular scene when the kids for the first time hunt down a ghost. I'm not going to say what it is. No spoilers again. I love how in that scene they really emphasize that these kids are inexperienced and they don't really know what they're doing. And you're getting nostalgia because you're seeing that Ghostbusters mobile, you're seeing the guns again, you're seeing the boxes again, the traps. I mean, not the boxes. Why did I say boxes? But the traps. You got a lot of characters. That they mention in the movie. They show the old Ghostbusters commercial, and I really like how Spangler was really seen as the heart of the film. Not that he was the heart, it was just kind of one of the driving forces. There's some emotional scenes in this movie. I'll admit there were some scenes in the movie where I nearly teared up. I didn't tear up. I don't really tear up in movies that much, but there were moments in the film that do almost get you to that point, and I love that, especially if you're a Ghostbusters fan. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, there's probably some scenes that you're gonna tear up. Well, if you're a mega Ghostbusters fan, you'll probably tear up, but the homages, the respect they paid, and I really feel like this movie was kind of an apology from 2016's version. Because I didn't like that film. I thought that movie was horrible. I thought it was terrible. I didn't like how they ignored the classic original film. There's a lot of things about the 2016 film, and I really love how this time they knocked it out of the park. This time they were like, hey, look, we got to pay respect to the original film. I'm not saying every movie needs to do that, but if you're doing a revival, I do think it's nice for you to at least acknowledge. And again, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, like if you love that original film, you're going to love this film. And I don't mean to say this in a light way trying to get you to watch the movie, but if you love Ghostbusters, you're really gonna love this film. And I'd say this as a Ghostbusters fan. Am I a diehard Ghostbusters fan? No, but I am a pretty big fan of the movie. I don't really consider it a franchise, but now that there's 3 movies, technically 4, but I guess you could say it's a franchise now. Well, it's always been a franchise, but I do think that you're really gonna love it, and I don't just mean you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna love it. Again, too many homages. I love that so much about this film. I think this movie did better the homages than Star Wars ever did. I'll say that, put that out of the way. This really is the year for homages because, Spider-Man No Way Home, you're getting Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield returning. And then Matrix Resurrections seems like they're going to really, really go into paying a lot of homage to the original Matrix film, which I cannot wait for, because the original Matrix is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I think before Batman vs. Superman, it was my favorite movie of all time. It was actually in that spot for a long time, but we're going to have to wait and see and find out. I really enjoyed this film. I don't want to give any spoilers. I'm not going to give any spoilers, by the way. Don't worry. You don't have to click out. Please don't spoil in the comment sections either for the people who have seen it. I really want to emphasize this. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, I'm not saying you're going to like this movie. I think you're going to love it. And I think the ending of this film was Avengers Endgame level excitement. Not as much to me personally, because I'm a bigger Marvel fan than I am a Ghostbusters fan. But if you're a Ghostbusters fan, let's say Ghostbusters is your favorite film of all time. If you're a fan of that movie, and even the second one, this is practically your Avengers End. There's an Avengers Endgame moment here. I'm not going to say what it is. When you watch the movie, you're going to know. In the ending of the film, I liked it. And there is a post-credit scene. I was almost walking up because I didn't expect a post-credit, which is stupid of me. I should get used to post-credits because I've been doing it for years, the post-credit stuff. But if there is a post-credit scene, I like the post-credit scene. And yeah, the ghosts feel as cool as they were in the last film. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed it. Do I love it? I don't love it nearly as much as the original classic film. I don't think it's top 10 best movies, but I had a fun time. I enjoyed it. This is not the kind of movie I would rewatch. I tend to only rewatch movies in theaters if they're really, really, really good, like Eternals. I rewatch that. Shang-Chi. There's a lot of movies that I've rewatched. I don't think Ghostbusters Afterlife to me is not in that level. But again, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, you're probably going to end up watching this movie 20 times. I'll admit that. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. And even if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, while yes, I don't expect you to like it, let's say you want to take your kids out to go watch a movie and they really like these adventure kind of movies, I think they're going to like it now. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. If you're brand new to the channel, again, make sure you subscribe, turn on notification bell, smash the like button. And to everyone watching, my returning subscribers and the people who are new to the channel, make sure you comment down below after the video. Have you seen it? Have you not? Whatever it is, please let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited or you're not? Whatever. And also follow me on my Instagram and Twitter at Isaac the Film Geek, which is always linked in the description down below. And again, to everyone who's brand new here, welcome to the multiverse of movies. I'll be seeing you guys